The NFC South is one of the might have the chance to actually be the toughest division in all of in the NFL, where you got two teams who can viably challenge to be Super Bowl winners, and you have a team on the rise like Tampa Bay and also the Carolina Panthers. Starting off with the Saints, it's funny to say, can Drew Brees kind of bounce back? Now you say bounce back, he had over 4,600 yards passing, 33 touchdowns, but he had 22 interceptions. Can he get that number down? That's very not Drew Brees. That's not in his character to throw a lot of interceptions now. If he could get that number down a lot, could really help out. But if he's that quarterback of this team, they're always a Super Bowl contender. Can they find a better running attack? I think they had one of the best off seasons of getting running backs. You let go of replace Reggie Bush with Darren Sproles, who I think is actually better than Reggie Bush, and he does things better that Reggie Bush couldn't do as of running inside. Even though he has small stature at 5'8", he's a guy who can run in between the tackles and really help out with hands and speed, and the things that Reggie Bush had, but the inside running and not being able to take him off the field and use him as a decoy, he can actually help out in running inside, unlike Reggie Bush. And they also drafted Mark Ingram with their first-round pick. I think by the end of the season, he'll be the starting running back, and he actually might be the offensive rookie of the year if he could get a lot of touches. And very good at the wide receiver position with Meacham and Lance Moore and Marquise Colston. They help out a lot. But also look out for Jimmy Graham at the tight end position. He should help out a lot. Guy they really like a lot. Very athletic at the tight end position. And David Thomas, who starts at tight end and is going to be moved around as kind of like an H-back for them. They have They have the best interior offensive line with signing Olin Kreutz this year. Olin Kreutz was really big for them at the center position, and getting Carl Hicks and having Carl Hicks and Jabari Evans at the guard position. They have questions at the offensive tackle spots. Can those guys protect against speed rushers? We got to see where Bouchard. We got to see what those guys can do on the outside. I think this defense is really improved, especially up the middle, with signing Shaun Rogers and Abreu Franklin on that defensive line. Those two tackles those guys are going to be guys who are going to share a lot of playing time, I believe, at that nose tackle spot, opposite of Cedric Ellis, who's really going to be good for them this year. Those two guys are definitely going to take a lot of attention off of Ellis. Also, getting Cam Jordan out of Cal should really help out their pass rush as well, until Charlie Grant comes back from suspension. They're really solid at the linebacker position with Jonathan Vilma and Shales, Jolan Dunbar. They're really solid there. This secondary is very good. They're deep at corner, where you got Tracy Porter and Jabari Greer along with Patrick Robinson. But keep an eye out for Johnny Patrick. I like him a lot. Rookie out of Louisville. He's a guy who can make plays. He's a ball hawk. I think at the cornerback position should really help out a lot. And Malcolm Jenkins is going to help out with the departure of Darren Sharper. I think Malcolm Jenkins could really help out a lot and use his ball skills and become one of the top playmakers in the secondary for this team. Also, one big thing about this team, they're going to have to create turnovers. If this team really gave up a lot of yards, but this team, especially in their Super Bowl year, if they could create turnovers, Greg Williams, defensive coordinator, always preaches turnovers about this team. If they could create turnovers, this team is going to be really dangerous, especially with the offense that they have, where you can't really outscore them. Moving on to the Atlanta Falcons, can Matt Ryan finally win a big playoff game for them? They've got to the playoffs a couple times. He's getting better. He's improving. His accuracy, his decision making. I think he's ready to have a breakout year. The rushing attack is really upgraded. You always have Michael Turner there, along with Jason Stellings. But I think the addition and drafting of Jacquizz Rodgers should really help out. He's a guy who's small in stature, but is really tough running. He can run inside as well as bounce it outside as well. Them drafting Julio Jones, I think that was the biggest draft pick. Everybody says they gave up a lot, but I think Julio draft pick is the piece that this team needed to contend for the Super Bowl. They had Roddy White, one of the best wide receivers in football. He's a guy who's great route runner, great hands, can lead the league in receptions, led the league in receptions and yards. But he never had that deep threat ability, or he would always get double teamed. And now getting Julio Jones, who has tremendous speed, is really going to be a lot wide. It's going to be hard to really double this team with any wide receiver, especially also with Harry Douglas. I think Harry Douglas is really going to step out this year. He's going to have a big year, I think, for this team, especially in the slot. He's a guy who's battled injuries, but I think he could really step up and help this team out, along with Tony Gonzalez at the tight end position and Reggie Kelly. Very good offensive line, with especially on that left side with Sam Baker and Justin Blaylock. It was good for them that they had to re-sign Calabo last year. I think he could really help out. He's really good at that right tackle spot for them, and they have a really solid offensive line. This defense has really improved, especially at the defensive line. Now you have Ray Edwards from Minnesota signed with this team. Now you have two bookends who could really help out. Now John Abraham is not going to get a lot of attention, so Ray Edwards actually has, I think, the potential. With John Abraham, I think will get a lot of attention still. He'll have a chance, Ray Edwards, to have double-digit sacks this year. Very good at linebacker, with especially with Sean Weatherspoon. It should really help out. And they're also solid at the secondary position with Donta Robinson and Brett Grimes, as well as William Moore and Thomas DeCloud. But they just got to find out a little bit more depth, I think, behind those guys in the secondary position, especially at safety. Moving on to the Tampa Bay Bucks, the breakout team from last year, the surprise team of last year, 10 wins, even though they didn't make the playoffs. Can Josh Freeman avoid, even though this is his third year in the league, can he avoid that sophomore slump? First year in the league, he almost threw for over 3,500 yards, 25 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, had a couple of fourth-quarter comebacks last year for this team. But I say sophomore slump because this is going to be his second year starting, and can he avoid that, or does he regress a little bit? And now that he's going to get the whole offense and know the whole offensive retriever, does he regress? But I think he's a great leader for this team moving forward to the future on his very young team. The running back position, can LeGarrette Blount handle the full load at the running back position, because they don't have a lot of great depth behind him at running back? Can he get 300 carries? Can he be a 300 carry guy? He had over 1,000 yards last year and 6 carries on 200 and over 200 carries last year. He should really, let's see if he can really hold on to that. They have really young wide receivers. They're really good, but they're young. Are they going to be able to prove guys like Mike Williams, Aurelius Ben, those two outside guys? I think those guys can have a really great future in this league. Sammy Stroud can help out a lot too in the slot. But watch out for Desmond Briscoe. I like Desmond Briscoe a lot. He was on Cincinnati's roster a couple years ago. They wanted to keep him on the practice squad, but Tampa Bay snatched him. He has that big play ability to help stretch the field when it comes to just running down the field, jumping over receivers. He brings that big play. I think he'll bring that big play ability to that team. Moving on, that offensive line, it's a little shaky. I like that right side with Devin Joseph and Jeremy Trueblood. Also, Donald Penn is solid at that left tackle spot. But I just want to see if this offensive line can really protect Josh Freeman. Moving on to this defense, the defensive line is really young but deep. When you think about what they have at the defensive end with Tim Crowder, who's the oldest guy on that line, Daquan Bowers, who they got with the second round, who is a guy who was a top 5 guy going to be a top 5 guy coming out, but he had knee problems. Can he stay healthy enough? Especially Adrian Claiborne, the first round pick that they got out of Iowa, who's going to play at that other end spot. You have at the defensive tackle position last year's first round pick, the number 3 overall pick, and Gerald McCoy, Roy Miller, Brian Price as second round pick last year, and also Frank Oakham. So they're really deep and talented at that position. I like a lot. They're young. They're very young at linebacker, but they're very fast and athletic. Watch out for Mason Foster, a rookie out of Washington. He should help out at that middle linebacker position. They really had trouble at that middle linebacker spot last year, but he should help out a lot, along with Quincy Black and Geno Hayes at the outside spot. They have questions at secondary. I actually like their secondary, but they have questions a lot. Can Aqib Talib be consistent enough at the secondary spot? He's very talented, has a lot of ability to be a lockdown guy, but can he be consistent? When does Father Time really hit Rondé Barber, one of the consistent DBs that this league has ever seen? And also, they really have questions that they need to upgrade, I think, at the safety positions. I like Cody Grimes a lot, but I don't think he's starting caliber. And Sean Williams, I think they need to get guys there. They drafted Ahmad Black, a small guy who can help out at that safety position. But I just want to see them get better at that safety spot. Moving on to Carolina Panthers. They had the worst team in the league last year. Got the #1 pick. They spent it on Cam Newton. How does he perform, especially in his first year with a complex NFL system? #1 overall pick. How does he deal with the pressure? I think the one thing that's actually viable and is really going to help Cameron Newton this year is that he has so many weapons. He has the best backfield in all of the NFL, in my opinion, with D'Angelo Williams, Jonathan Stewart, and Mike Goodson. Mike Goodson is their third running back who's going to help out on third downs, but he's a guy who can start on a lot of teams in this league, Mike Goodson. So they have that deep at the running back position. Can Steve Smith stay healthy enough and help out at one wide receiver spot? You got young guys as Brandon Affell and Amani Edwards, hoping that those young guys step out. They really had a tough loss with losing David Geddes, a guy who really helped out at that receiver spot last year. I think he could have had a breakout year. But you also have at the tight end position Greg Olsen and Jeremy Shockey that should really help out as well. They have Ryan Khalil, one of the best centers, and Jordan Gross, very good offensive lineman at left tackle, Jordan Gross, but they need to improve that offensive line. I think Cam Newton should be able to use his legs, though, to avoid some of the problems that they're probably going to have, especially on that right side of the offensive line. Moving on to the defense, they're young and they lack depth at the defensive tackle spot. You're going to have to start 2 rookies there, and Terrell McLean and Suni Pura, who should really 2 rookies, guys that later on down the road in their career, they have very great upside, but they're going to need, especially Ron Rivera running that defense, they're going to need those 2 guys in the middle to anchor that 4-3 look for them. But can Charles Johnson step up at that defensive tackle position and make that next step and be an elite end now? He's got elite end money. He got a big contract this year, re-signed for some big money. So was it just a 1-year thing for him with those 11.5 sacks, or is he going to step up and become one of those elite pass rushers in this league? I think they're deep at that pass rusher spot, especially with George Selvey, Greg Hardy, and also Eric Norwood should really help out a lot there. Solid at linebacker with Jonathan Beeson and David Thomas Davis. Those 2 guys should really help out a lot. Beeson got a big contract this year, so he should help out. And I think this secondary is very, very underrated. You got guys like Captain Mutterlin as well at the cornerback position, should really help out a lot with Chris Campbell and Darius Butler, who came from the New England Patriots, who they signed this week. He should really help out a lot for this team as well. Like I said, they got 2 teams they have 3 teams that can actually vie for playoff spots, and 2 teams that can really push for Super Bowl or be Super Bowl winners and contenders in this league. Let me know what you guys think. Give me your thoughts on each of these teams, your favorite team. Subscribe at the top of the page, and talk to you guys later. Thanks.